Fine, so welcome to Android session today. So I'm Prushni Jani. I'm going to take your uh, session today. I'm your trainer today. Fine. So I am working in Android field since 2012. So I have been as an Android developer, and then I was a leader, right? Fine. So right now I'm Android trainer at Code Kaksha. There I take batches also, right? And I'm also co-founder of Connect to Android. We have a team over here, and here we develop application and also we deal with websites and marketing also. And so these are the applications that I've worked on. I have mostly worked on taxi business applications that are from London and UK, right? So these are some of the applications, and rarely I work on any Indian application. I mostly work for overseas companies only. Right? So today I'm going to take your session on Android storage. And while I take any session, if you have any doubts, you can either unmute yourself or you can just write in a comment box. And if you have any doubt after the session, you can just email to harpreet@kksolution.com. Right. So today I'm going to take something called Android storage. So tell me, how many are you from this web development? I mean, do you have any knowledge regarding Java files and XML files? Fine. So in Android, we use two files. First one is Java, and another one is XML. Right. So this is Android Studio that I'm working on. All the Android applications are built in Android Studio. Fine. So today, can you see my screen? Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Fine. So we are talking about Android storage today. So how many storages are available in Android? So we have different options for storage. Right. So first one is shared preference. Next one is internal storage. Can you see the screen where I'm writing?
Yes.
Okay. Next one is external storage. One is SQLite database. And the last one is network connection. Fine. So these are different type of storage options in Android. Out of this five, right? So we have this five options. First three, for first three, we have we have to use Android files. Okay, just keep your video off and also mute yourself, right? So first, in firstly we use files, right? And next one is SQLite database. Do you have any idea about SQLite or SQL? Yeah, any idea about SQLite? What is SQL or SQLite? Yes, there was someone who has been working on DBA. Okay. Yeah, Narayan, you have an idea, you can tell us.
So SQL is a long ways to connect the database from the user console. Like
Okay.
so, we can use as a like a of a bridge to connect to the database, a storage,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
structure query language. We can say in simply.
Okay. Yeah. And the last one is network connection. So in network connection, we either store the data on cloud or on the server. So in network connection, it is either on the cloud or on the server. Clear? So right now let's start with shared preference. Clear up till this point of time? How many storages are available in Android? Fine. So let's start with shared preference. So what is a shared preference? Shared preference means, for example, you have your login screen and here you have your login ID and password, and here there is a button of login, right? So once you log in, it will not ask again and again to log in with ID and password. There will be an option, yeah, like save my ID passwords, remember me, right? For that we use shared preference. Clear? Yeah, can anyone tell me what is difference between MySQL database and SQLite? Yeah. Have anyone worked on MySQL database?
Yeah, MySQL is a, like open source, and we can use for the small scale applications.
Okay. So
Like
SQLite, okay. So SQLite is also like MySQL database. The only difference is SQLite is lightweighted, right? And in
okay,
SQLite, we cannot create date data type. In MySQL, you have a date data type. So in
okay,
SQLite, that is the database we use for Android, there the date will be stored in string. We don't have date data type. Clear? Fine. So let's start with shared preference now. Right. So as I told you, in shared preference, once you log into our application, it will not again ask for ID and password. Right. So what are the steps to create this shared preference? Right. Will not use shared preference if you want to store any critical data. Right. If you have any critical data, then don't store it. For that, use my SQLite database. Right. This shared preference is temporary. And if you clear your application, it will just remove the data. Fine. So we'll use shared preference if you want to store any email ID, or if you want to store any tokens, then you will use shared preference. Clear? Any doubts? So we'll see how we can do these things.
Yeah, Brishni, you said
Mm-hmm.
store critical data
Yeah.
and then you said don't store. I didn't get that point.
Okay. So critical data in the sense, if you want to see, when you log in your Facebook application in your Android device, right? So
Okay.
if you once you have logged in, it will not again and again ask for ID and password. But what happens
Like
once you clear your application? I mean to say, if you
clear
go
means
to
like clear history.
no, clear means if you go to your manager, application manager, and if there if you clear each of your data, there is an option,
Oh,
right, to clear data. Then ID and tokens will be deleted.
okay,
For example, if you want to store any bank data, then you should not store in shared preference.
okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
For example, if you want to store any color or any language, there are settings, right? If you want to store any,
Settings in MySQL or SQLite,
no,
anything.
this is shared preference. This is just a shared preference. This is different from MySQL or SQLite. Fine.
Okay.
Shared preference is totally different from database. This is not a database. I will just show you how we are using the shared preference, right? For
Okay.
example, if you go to your Gmail, there is an option of sync your app. So that is stored as a shared preference. If you want to sync your emails, then it is showed in uh, shared preference. Clear?
Okay.
There you also get option like for how much time you want to sync the data. Clear? So if you want to share the data in shared preference, there are certain data types. Can you tell me how many types of data types are there in database? Any idea? So in
Yeah,
yeah.
integer,
Hmm.
decimal.
Okay. So in shared preference, we have some database. I mean the data types. It has Boolean values. It has float values. It has integer. It will have string and long. These are data types that you can store in shared preference. Right? Let's go to Android Studio and just check how to create a shared preference. Right? Any doubts up till now? Clear with what is shared preference? Or you want me to explain again?
We are good.
Okay. Fine. So let's start. We'll start with the application, right? So what you should do to create a shared preference? We'll just check with the syntax first. So what is the syntax of shared preference? Shared preference that you want to store in your application. For that, first you need to use a method called get shared preference. Just remember the steps. Next, you have to use editor. That means you want to edit the shared preference and you want to store it, right? And the third one is you have to commit, right? Commit is used in each of the storage systems. Clear? Clear up till now? This is a simple syntax. Now let's go to our application, right? So this is our Android Studio. Okay, tell me one thing. Is everyone aware with Android Studio or should I introduce Android Studio first? This is Android Studio, right? Where you are going to develop your Android applications.
Yeah, you can tell a little bit about that Android tool.
Okay. See, this is Android Studio, right? You can get it from developer site. That is Android developer site. This is freely available. So you can just download it and make sure you have Java folder on your system. Fine. So to create any new project, go to new and a new project. Fine. Here you can give any name. Give any name. Next one is company domain, right? As you can see, if I make any changes, here package name will be changed, right? Whatever I change here in company domain, package name will be changed. So if someone asks you what is package name, right? So package name is something that is unique on Google Play Store. If you check the package of Facebook, it is different. If you check the package of WhatsApp, it is different. So this should be unique. Fine. Just click on next. Then you get the option of selecting the SDK. These are different versions of Android. So you just have to select Jelly Bean. It will give you option, right? Here is a message that if you select this API level, it will run on 99.2% of devices, right? So it will really depend on you, like on how many devices you want to run your app, right? If I select Marshmallow, it is giving 39%. So just always try to develop on Jelly Bean and just go to next. These are
I think
all the
the latest one is Oreo or something, right?
yeah, it's Oreo, right?
Oreo.
Yeah,
So basically, Android Studio is like Visual Studio for .NET, correct?
kind of, kind of.
Okay.
Fine. So when you click on next, you get different types of activities. See, activity is every screen of your application. Whatever screen your application has is an activity. So if you want to create a login screen, you just click on login activity. So it will give you the design of login, and then you just have to code it, right? If you want to select any navigation drawer, just select a navigation drawer activity. Fine, and just select on next, and your project will be ready. Clear? This is very simple. Fine. So there are two main parts. Sorry. So there are two main parts. First one is Java, as you see here, and next one is resources. Clear? So we have two main parts in Android. First one is Java, that means behavior of our application. And next one is resources, that is design of our application. If you want to develop any application, you should go with design and behavior, right? So first you will design the uh, screen of your application, and then in your Java file you will just code. Like if you have added a button in your design, then in Java code you will add the logic of any listeners on button. Clear? Any doubts up till now? Fine. As you can see here, we have different folders in resources. First one is drawable. Can you see this? Drawable. So drawable means it will have different XML files for designing. Plus you can also add images files also. Next you have is layout. Layout folder will have all the that is design files. This is main file of designing. Next one is map. In map you have to store images for different screens, right? And last one we have values. You just check what each folder has, right? So in layout we have XML file, right? This is XML, that is a design, and I have already designed, but if I will run this app it will not show anything. Clear? Then we have map. That means it has images, right? Can you see this HDPI, MDPI? That means for each of the screen sizes, it has images. And last one is values. We'll check in detail when we'll start the main training session. Watch what this values folder mean. Clear? Any doubts regarding this? You should first be clear with what is Android Studio and how to use it. Well, let's start with shared preferences. In XML file, you have different types of layouts. So let me take a relative layout. Right? So if I just write relative, it gives me an option of relative layout and just click on enter. Right? These options I don't need right now. Now, let me, if you check in your design part, we have a palette. It has different types of widgets. That means text view or a button if you want to add any progress bar, right? You can just click and drag. Fine. In text we have either if you want to add any plain text, right? That is you just want to add a name, and if you want to add a password, you want to add a password field, just click and drag. If you want to add any other layout, fine. These are different types of palette versions, right? Clear? Right, I just click and drag and it showed here, but I don't need all these things right now. Fine, I'll just add, for example, I want to add some text over here and I'll just add a button. Fine. Here in XML file, just check with the IDs. Here, if you change any ID, you have to change in other widgets also. Because can you see this button is showing that this button is aligned to end of this ID. These are the properties of button. Clear? I'm just adding the button. Fine. Now my design is ready. Now what I want to do is, I have a login screen. Fine, this is my login screen. And when I click on login button, it should redirect me to another screen. And it should show me the name that I have added in in my login screen. Clear? Here we have a name and login. So by using shared preference, I will share the name to second screen. Clear with this?
Yes.
Fine. So I'll create one more activity here. Right? Just right click and new an activity. Create any activity. Let's create a welcome activity. Right? If you give the name welcome activity, in the layout folder, your XML will be generated. Clear? So just click on finish. Okay, it will just load in 1 or 2 minutes. You just have to wait, right? We'll just check in layout folder whether our resource file is ready or not. As you can see, I have created welcome activity and I have a Java file and an XML file. I'll just change this layout. And what I want to do here, I'll just add a simple text view, and inside that I'm not writing anything. Here, instead of welcome, it should show me welcome and the name of login, name of the person who has logged in. Fine. So here we have the Java file. Now in Java file, as you can see, I'm using r.layout.main XML file. So activity main. I'll go to activity main and I have to call these two widgets, whatever I'm using in my XML, that I have to call in my Java file. Right? So I have to declare each and everything. So I'll use ID. So r.java file is automatically generated file and it has address of each and everything. If you are adding text view, if you are adding button, it will be saved in your Java file. So we have to declare it over here. So we are using text view. Fine. So we just it is edit text, right? We have to use edit text. Fine. This is edit text. Just use edit text over here. Now it will show you some error. Just click on the button and check what error it is showing. It shows that you have to import the file. So just use Alt and Enter. It will automatically add this file. Clear? Now I have declared this. Now I will define the edit text. So how to define it? You have to use edit text and a method find view by ID. And we have to use r dot and the ID. Clear? This is the main thing. Whatever you add in your XML file, that you have to define in your Java file. Clear? So I'm defining my edit text, and now I have to use button also. So just use this button. You can give any name, right? I'm just repeating the same name as I have already given in my XML file. You can give any name. and again I will use this method. Right? Clear up till this point of time? Yes, any doubts? Just let me know if you have any doubts. Fine. So when I click on this button, I should be redirected to my second activity, that is welcome activity. So I will use something called set on click listener. Just use new on click listener. Fine. Now just add the shared preference. So okay, tell me what was the syntax of shared preference? I already shared with you, right? So our first one was to use the
Get
get.
shared
Yeah,
preference.
we have to use get shared preference. So just use shared preferences and give any name equals to. You have to use main activity dot this and use get shared preference. Fine. So get shared preference has two parameters, key and a value. So in key, I'm giving a name, and in value, I'm using mode private. We have different modes. I'm just using mode private. And what was the second step? Can anyone tell me what was the second step?
Editor.
Yeah, second one was editor. So what I will do is I have to use editors. So what I will do, shared preference dot editor, and again I will give any name, and in editor I will declare like I want to use shared preference and I want to edit it. Clear? Now I want to store the name in string. So what I will do, I'll just add what is name of edit text, ed name dot get text. We have a method called get text in Android and toString. Fine. So we have already used get shared preference and we have got the editor. Now we have to put this name in our shared preference. Fine. So what we'll do here, now just use editor and use a method called put string. Right? Can you see? We have different options. But right now I'm using put string. And inside that, put string is same as this only. Here also we have to give key and value, but value is different here. Here I'm using input as a key and value. Value is the string that you have stored, right? That is, we are writing something in editor, right? So what we are writing, that is a name that we have stored. And the last one is you have to edit it, commit it. So I have editor dot commit. That means it will save your data. If you don't commit, it will not store your data. Clear up till this point of time? Any doubts, or you want me to repeat it? Just let me know. Yeah, any doubts? Okay, I hope everything is clear up till now. Now we'll go to welcome screen, that is second screen. And here we'll check that in our XML file we have a text view. Fine, so I'll just use this text view and I will declare it in my Java file. Sorry, it's not button, it's welcome, right? Again, I will define it, right? So I'll use text view and use a method called find view by ID method. Fine, clear? Now on this text view, I want to get the text that is written in this file. That is, this name should be passed to this welcome file. So what I will do, I will again use shared preference. This is already declared, right? Once I declare a shared preference, it will be shared in my whole activity. For example, you have 25 files in your package, right? So if you share any name in your shared preference, that will be available in all the 24 other files, right? So you just have to get a shared preference in your file where you want to access it. Fine. For this, again we have a syntax to get the shared preference. So we have, first we have to get shared preference. We have to use this. And what is the second step? We have to use the get string, right? Get string or any other data, yeah, any other data type we are using it. Clear? So I'll use again declare a shared preference. I'll just use welcome dot this. That means I'm using shared preference in this file. And just use get shared preference. Just make sure you are using the same key. So I have this key. Just copy this and I will paste it over here. Fine. Here you don't have to use editor because you are just fetching it. When you are storing something, only that time you have to use editor and then you have to commit it. Fine. So here I will take string get data equals to, I have sp dot get string. Here again you have to use key and value. So what is key for key? Here, as you can see, I have used put string. And you are when you are fetching any file, you have to use get string. Fine. So I just use this key, and in value put it put it as null. Right? Don't need to add anything. Now the last thing that you have to use is, now what I want this welcome to be changed with the name that I have got in my first file. So I'll just use welcome dot set text. And what is the text? It's get data. Clear? And we are done with our shared preference. It's very simple. Any doubts? Yeah, any doubts up till now? Yes, any doubts? If you are using integer, you have to use get integer or get float or whatever data type you are using. Clear? Very simple. I will share this project because as of now my device is not available, so I will not be able to run this. Clear? This was all about shared preference. We have different types of preferences, right? Sometimes we have to use checkbox preference, then edit text preference or list type preference. List type means where user is shown a list of options and then you can select any one of their preference. Clear? Sometimes there is true or false value. That is a checkbox preference. Fine. So this was all about shared preference. Let's now talk about what is database in Android. Right? I told you what type of database we use in Android. Can you tell me what database we use in Android?
SQLite.
Yeah. So what are different things that are supported in this database? Right? So different data types are null, integer, then we have real values, text, blob. This all data types are used in normal database, right? But in Android, we don't use this types of data types. Clear? Instead of this, what we use, we can't use this. We cannot use this, right? So I already told you what kind of data types we can use. Can you tell me what type of data type can we use in Android when you are creating database for Android?
String.
Yeah.
Integer.
Yeah, string, integer, float, right? All those data types we can use boolean. We cannot here we have also used date, but we cannot use date enough for any Android application. We have to use we have to store the date in string. Clear? Fine. This database we use for Android. So there are certain steps. I'll just show you the steps. Just a second, let my link load. Find for SQLite database, what we use first, you, we need to use helper class, right? Can you tell me, have you used getters and setter methods? Have you ever used those two kind of methods? I think so. You have never used it. Next one is adapters, and third one is your main file where you want to use it. Clear? That is your Java file. Fine. So in in your adapters, you have to declare your getters and setters. Clear? Yeah. Can you please tell me what is getters and setters? You might have used it somewhere. So these methods we use, for example, you are using any integer, that is id, name and phone, then you have to use get id and set id. Then only you can store the data in database. So that those are getters and setters, that eventually you are going to use it in your main file. Fine. So what is helper file? This is also a Java class, but it will extend SQLite Open Helper, right? This class will extend SQLite Open Helper, and in that we create certain methods. Have you ever heard about on create, on upgrade? This methods in database, inserts. So this we use in our helper class, right? Clear? And in our main file, what we do in our main file, we just, for example, you want to insert, for example, there is a table insert. Sorry, there is a table named student, and you want to insert student. So I will do, what I will do is, I'll just add it, the roll number and the name. Clear? This insert student is declared in my helper class, and whenever I am inserting, I will insert from main file. Clear? Do you have any doubts? Yeah, just let me know if you have any doubts. Any doubts? Any doubts regarding storage? Right, so we have total how many types of storage? We have already checked with it. So we have total 5 types of storage. So first one was a shared preference. Second is internal storage. That means your device has some memory and it will be stored there. Next one is external storage. That is, if you store something on your SD card, it is external storage. Next one is SQLite database that we have already checked in detail. And the last one is network connection, like if you want to store it on cloud or on network server. Right, for not networks connection, what we use asynchronous task. Have you ever heard about async task? Yes, have you ever heard what is async task? For network storage, we use async task. So async task, we have async task. Fine. So we use this task to avoid ANR. Have you ever seen application not responding on your device? If you open any of the, if you open any other app, then it shows application not responding. Have you ever checked with that? Sometimes your Gmail is not responding or your WhatsApp is not responding. Yeah, please guys be more interactive. Otherwise, you will not be able to get what I'm explaining. Right, so to avoid ANR, we use async task. In Android, we have one main thread. Right, so we have one main thread, and next one is another thread. So what is main thread? Is as it is lightweight process, we don't use it. We don't use any heavy loaded process on this main thread. So we use async task for that. If you use heavy weighted process on your main thread, your UI display will get crashed. Right? So we use async task. So your UI will be running on main thread and other things will be running on other threads. So this other threads are async tasks. Clear? So what is your main thread? That means you have all your components on your main thread. Right? So all your components are on your main thread. That will handle your UI and other interactions. Here, so we use async task. That is a different thread other than your main thread. So there are two main rules for handling these threads. First one is we should not block our UI thread, and we should never access your Android UI toolkit from outside UI thread. Clear? If you have any doubts, please let me know. Yeah, any doubts?
Yeah, Prashni, can you give an example about async task?
Yeah, async task means, for example, this is your login screen, right? And here I have email ID and I have a password and here I have a button, login. Fine. So on button click of login, I should be, what will happen? A link will be called. So I will just call my server whether this email and password are correct or not, right? So we have to check whether the email and password are correct or not. So how we will check? For checking that, we have to use async task where you will send this ID and password on server, and on server it will check whether your ID and password matches or not, and it will send result. So in our app we check the result. If your result is true, that means your ID and password are correct, so we can go to our main screen. And if result is false, that means your ID and password is not correct, so we will not be able to go to our main screen.
Okay.
Fine. So here we use async task. Yeah. Any other doubts? Yes. Any other doubts?
No, for me.
Okay. For this can also be used if you want to use countdown timer from 10 to 1, right? So if you want to use countdown timer, then also we can use async task. Right. So this was all about uh, the storage. I hope you enjoyed the session, and if you have any doubts, just email us and try learning this Android, right? Because this is booming in market. If you learn Android, you can learn Internet of Things. That means if you're using a smart bulb, smart watch, or you can also add all the appliances in for IoT, and then you can handle all those appliances of your home with your Android device, right? So just try to learn Android as soon as possible because this is booming in market.
Prishni, I have a question when you get a minute.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what are the prerequisites to get up to speed with Android development, because I'm into DevOps. We automate the software.
Hmm. So see, if you want to start now, just Android for our training, and in just 32 hours, we'll teach you Android because you are already from this IT field, so it will be easier for you to learn Android.
But I was able to understand the overall the storage and the database types and whatever you have
Yeah.
mentioned. But
Mhm.
the code part, I think, is Java a prerequisite to start off with Android development?
See, if you know Java, it's a plus point. If you don't know Java, we are here to teach you, right? So we are not going to learn each and every concept of Java. You don't need to learn all the Java concepts. We'll just show you the very basic things, and those are the only things that you need to learn.
Okay.
Yeah, we cover all the topics. So by the end of this training, you will be able to develop application and upload it to Play Store.
How long is the training if we are interested?
Okay, it may be according to which batch you are joining. It may be of 32 or 48, or there are other batches of 52. So you can just contact Harpreet.
Okay.
right? You can, Harpreet, if you can share your number in your chat box, it will be easier for others to contact you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm just messaging.
Do you provide training for Big Data Hadoop also? I mean, this is out of the topic, but just
Okay, for this,
Yeah, in fact, we do have trainers for the same. So in case you want to go in for a big data Hadoop training as well, you can just send in your request on my email ID. We will be sending it across to our learning development department, and they'll take care of that.
okay. Thanks.
Yeah. So, okay. Thank you, Pushni, for your wonderful session. Hope everybody's enjoyed. And in case you have any queries, you can write it at harpreet@kksolutions.com, or you can give me a call at 98233 Thank you, everybody.
yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.